This talk is really, it's a bit about responsibility and democratization, but probably not in the way that you might be expecting. So to get things started, my name is Jono. My online handle is JonoBR1. I'm an artist that makes work with, I use graphic design and computer programming to kind of create a lot of the projects that I make, pieces that I make, expression and stuff. I'm also a designer and developer during the day. I've worked at companies and small studios and stuff. And I grew up here. I grew up in Berkeley, 16 miles away, and this is a lot of the reason why I think a festival like this is super important. I've always been interested in art, and a lot of that has been because of San Francisco. This is one of the fine museum and art institutions in this area. They're currently on the go right now, so they have exhibitions kind of all over the Bay Area and San Francisco. And growing up, I saw amazing retrospectives and pieces, art installations like, photo installations and exhibits like this one by Diane Arbus, abstract paintings like the Ellsworth Kelly, that's the second one on the left, local artists from the Bay Area like Wayne Thiebaud, big retrospectives like this Philip Guston piece. This was part of a retrospective in 2002, I think, and these famous pieces by Paul Klee. All of these and many more kind of got me really interested in art. And kind of along that, I was also very much a digital native. My parents, who are in the audience today, gave me a Gateway computer in middle school, and I would use that to go on IRC. I don't know if you guys know what that is. It's a bit old now. I would talk about anime and trade pictures and videos, and yeah, we can talk about that later if you want. So kind of with that background of really being interested in art and also spending a lot of time on the computer, I moved to Los Angeles to study design media arts at UCLA. And the reason that I decided to go to that program was because at the time it seemed like it blended a lot of art practices and studio work with emerging technologies and just, generally using a computer. And one of the things that I was really drawn to was this class called interactivity, where I was introduced to this environment called processing. This is what it looks like if you're not familiar with it. It's a text editor that's an application that you can use. You can write rules and scripts to create animations and interactions. And you can use it with the computer itself, or you can attach it to other things. And I took as many classes as I could while I was there and studied under Casey Reese, who is the co-founder of this project, Processing, who also, I don't know if he's here yet, but he's speaking tomorrow. So I wasn't really a programmer kind of before taking these classes, but I got really sucked into this idea of like, wow, I can write rules and systems and create animations and, in some ways life. So I want to show you a series of real-time processing applications that I've made over the course of 2008 to 2010, and these were little sketches that I would write to kind of try a different technique and kind of bind them to music and try to find, what aesthetically or technically was the right application for this song. So we'll go through like a few pieces, and hopefully it will load. see that there were different techniques. So sometimes I'd try to use the computer, the camera, and get a feed. But I was also playing with composition and colors to try to match different songs. And I definitely realized throughout this process that there's a lot of possibilities, but also that I wasn't the only person trying to do this stuff. I learned about a lot of artists during this time that were trying to visualize music in ways as well. This is a piece by P.M. Mondrian in 1914 called Composition 5, and a lot of his work kind of deals with the rhythm and flow of how songs are arranged. I actually really like this piece more than his more famous pieces because it has a little bit of more of a human quality. It's like there's like emergent kind of layers and stuff. Wassily Kandinsky is another awesome artist that I kind of drew a lot of inspiration from during this time. This is a piece called On White 2, and it's from 1923. You can kind of see there's a lot of different like motifs and themes that are similar to like a chorus verse kind of structure, and also like the kind of dynamic qualities of this image are really awesome. And then this is a really bad screen grab of it, so I'm sorry I'm not doing it justice. But this movie, this is one of the first moving images ever called Symphonie Diagonale by Viking Egling in 1924. And it's incredible to see how there was no sound kind of made to this piece, but the kind of like delicacy that he took in a brand new medium is like really awesome. I highly recommend checking it out. So based off of seeing, a few, this was a few of the artists, but I learned a lot more. And kind of making my own experiments, I realized that audio and video, they seem really kind of on separate ends of the spectrum of expression, but there's quite a lot of overlap. And so for my next project, what I tried to focus on was what are the commonalities between them, and I zeroed in on this idea of I don't know if you guys are familiar with an oscilloscope, but what it does is it kind of draws the waves of sound. And mathematically, these sound waves are sine and cosine, these very simple mathematical functions. So kind of taking those ideas, I started making animations, which I then kind of pitched to this band, Lullatone, who's an amazing duo from Japan. This is Sean and Yoshimi. They make up the band. If they wanted to make sounds for each of these animations, and through kind of the opportunity at Gray Area, we were able to explore and experiment and iterate to create this project called Patatap. I don't know if you've heard of it, but this is a screen capture of it, so I'm going to demo it really quickly. It's a musical instrument. This is the website. It's just at patatap.com. And basically, your keyboard or anywhere you touch on your phone, if you download the app, represents a sound and an animation. So this is what Q sounds like or looks like. This is what W sounds and looks like. This is what E, R, T, Y. And you can play them, like you would any kind of like drum set or piano. But you can also play them together as chords. And you can also change the color palettes. Alternatively, it also changes the sound palettes. And you can be really aggressive with it if you want. I like this last one. This is actually all Yoshimi's voices. They're like her just like. So yeah, that's Patatap. And we launched this project about a year ago in March 2014. The response for this was insane. Like there are thousands of videos on YouTube and Instagram and songs made on SoundCloud that have people using this and integrating it with their own music, which is super amazing to see. But we also got a lot of press. This is one of them. It's called it's by Refinery 29, and it's you can read it. Prepare to spend way too much time with Patatap. And it goes on to say, Patatap takes a familiar conundrum, being supremely bored in front of your computer, and saves you from backsliding into the rabbit hole of wonky cat gifs and which Lindsay Lohan are you quizzes. And this is a big moment for us because we had kind of made this in a very small private setting that we didn't really think about how the public would embrace it, and we kind of started to realize, this is a very positive review, but in a kind of weird negative way about boredom and wasting time and stuff like that. And similar to these other artists that I showed, Wassily Kandinsky and P.A. Mondrian and Viking Eggling, there are articles that exist. This one is from 100 years ago about a project that this guy Alex Rose made, and the headline here is the piano dead? And this author, Maxwell Hamilton, chronicles this stenographer, Alex Rose, I think that's how you say it, he's like the typewriter. He transcribes what people are saying in the courtroom. And he took this idea of the typewriter, which he spends so much time with, and tried to kind of subvert that. So he made this thing called a typeatone in 1939. And what it is a typewriter that you can play, and it actually produces sound instead of producing written messages. And for me and Lullatone, in our collaboration on Patatap, and then also working in the future, this was like a big, holy crap, coincidental moment, because we actually, for the last year, have been making a similar thing. It's called Typeatone. And I've never shown this to anybody yet, but I'm going to live demo this new project right now. So yeah, it's a text editor, not quite a typewriter, but when you type, sounds are made. And when you wait a second, it plays them back for you. You obviously can turn off the sound if you don't want to hear it. But you can also change the filter on them, and it changes kind of the intonation, the timbre of the sounds. Now we have a little bit more dreamy message. This one's a darker message. What are you going to write today? You can download your message as a WAV file. One thing that we found with Patatap in the feedback is that a lot of people loved writing their names. So you can just, this is what my name sounds like, and I could have that as a ringtone. I thought that was pretty cool. Okay, that's really annoying. And then obviously you can, I need to write something, right. You can also share your message. And you get a permalink and or an embed code. So if we go to this URL now, you can share that, and it plays back what you wrote to them. Yeah, thanks. And this is what the embeds look like. You can embed the entire editor, or you can embed specific messages. So, on your Tumblr or whatever web platform you use for your website or portfolio, you can embed. Whoa, get out of here. You can embed your messages or allow people to make messages and stuff. Okay. So that's Typeatone. It's not out yet. And we have a Facebook page. If you search Typeatone, you'll find it, and we'll let you know through that avenue when it is launched. But kind of going back and contextualizing this project with Typeatone and these other amazing works of kind of audiovisual stuff, I came across this model. If we look at the artists that I presented earlier today, as well as Alex Rose, all that work falls in like a 10 or 15 year period in the 20s and 30s. And this is an economic graph called the Clark sector model, and it basically describes as technology kind of matures, you get a wider audience kind of using those resources. So technology here is in a very broad sense. The blue line is the economy, the U.S. economy built based off of creating employment and money versus, creating money, generating money through resources. So, like coal or silver or rice. The orange line is industries that use those resources to create products. And the green line is the service industry. So it's these kind of like derivatives of each other of how commerce is made. And I'm not an economist, but it's fascinating that at this mark, at deindustrialization, all of not just these inventions like the Typeatone, which doesn't really exist today, but is a really interesting relic of that period, but also these amazing ideas from artists like P.A. Mondrian and Wassily Kandinsky, which are in all the greatest museums, all happen at this kind of like critical point. So I'm not an economist, but my takeaway is that this maturity in technology, it's a trend, but it also comes out of actual individuals' output. This graph wouldn't exist if all of these people, other inventors and stuff, didn't make things that people actually bought or used in society. And I think if we look almost 100 years, about 100 years later today, I think we're in a very similar space. I don't know where on the curve we are, but there is this drive in me that I think is important to explore and experiment with these ideas. And I look forward to seeing what all of you guys do as well. Because as technology gets more and more democratized, it's our responsibility to make things. And with that, I want to say thanks.